Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with a Pound for Pound ATL Live, joined by my main man, Toby D. Man, what's going on, Toby? What's up, brother?
Hey, man, it's another live. I'm excited, man. Hey, there's not a lot going on. We got rookie minicamp coming up, so that's exciting. But, man, it's just an exciting time for me to be an Atlanta Falcons fan, regardless of what they do this year.
That's it. It's a new era. New things are on the horizon. There's a lot of things that are unaccounted for. We don't we are definitely in like speculation zone. We don't know exactly what this thing is going to look like, how these people are going to play, respond. But yeah, no, it's a fun time to be a Falcons fan. First and foremost, before we get really deep into this, I see Archangel is in the chat room. Ark, I need you to email me back a place to mail your winnings to, as you were the only one that guessed Drake London for our $50 gift card. So if you can email me a place to mail your gift card to, I would love to do so. Anyway, all right. So I saw he was in here and wanted to catch him before.
Congratulations.
That's right. That's good. So, yeah, we got rookie minicamp starting this week. I think it starts on Friday. And what are some of your expectations? What are you looking for? Because we don't get much out of rookie minicamp, but what are some of the things you're looking for?
I think you will this year. I like the fact that we have a solid quarterback that's going to be able to help these pass rushers that we added on really get a groove on what it could be like in the NFL with Desmond Ridder, our third-round pick. So that is exciting to me because of what he's going to be able to do to not only help his own guys develop, but as well as himself, but the defensive side, they'll really get a good picture, more of a picture on what the defense can look like and really helping these rookies develop better than what they have been in years past.
Yeah, that part is interesting to be able to really get a good look at the mobile quarterback that is now the staple of the NFL. You only have very few straight drop back quarterbacks left in the league. So being able to, show these guys the elusiveness of a mobile quarterback, hopefully will help, get them in the right mindset for what they have to face week in and week out, whether it be, Mahomes or the Chargers with Justin Herbert, or even, even though he's not a great quarterback, so to speak, but even Daniel Jones up there in New York is a lot more mobile than he's given credit for. So I think what I want to see, be honest with you, man, I can't wait for the hype videos, like the snippets of Ridder throwing passes to Drake London. And, this is the first time, as y'all all know, my fandom uncoincidentally started with Matt Ryan. It's not the reason why I became a fan. It just happened that way. And so this is the first time this is my first camp going in there without Ryan being there. And that's going to be interesting to see. That alone brings a level of excitement that I have never had before, because in his whole tenure, they never brought anybody in to really challenge him. There was no need to. So, to see now what will end up being a true competition, at the quarterback position, because you're not paying Mariota enough to not sit him on the bench.
Right.
I think he's getting $4 million. It could be up to $6 million.
$4 to $6 million, something like
with
that.
incentives or what have you. So you're not paying him enough per se to not, not win the job outright, or not get, get beaten outright by Ridder.
Right.
Now, speaking of Ridder, the topic that I want to really kind of get into tonight for off the rip is Ritter. Like, because you have a situation here where you have a 3rd round pick. You don't have much invested in him because,
right.
I mean, as we've already talked about, we're already ready to ship off Jalen Mayfield, last year's 3rd round pick. So 3rd round picks, you're not tied to heavily financially. So what I'm getting at is if Mariota and Ritter are playing close and it's almost like you can't really distinguish them, like, I really propose to just play Ritter and see what you have with him. To know when you go into the offseason next year, should you be looking at C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, or whoever else presents themselves throughout the college season, or do you have a Dak Prescott on your hands that some people have looking at shades towards? Like, do you have a Russell Wilson on your hands? And you're not going to find that out if you only play him a game or two. You're not going to find that out if you just play him in preseason. So, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, it's possible that they find that out. I mean, I knew Russell Wilson was. I tell you, it was a game against Kansas City when Russell Wilson got into the league, right? Preseason. He showed out in that game against Kansas City. I remember Terrell Owens was trying to make his way back, and he was older then at this time. He was on Seattle Seahawks. The only reason Terrell Owens did not get or secure a job with Seattle Seahawks is because he dropped that deep ball that Russell Wilson threw to him in the end zone. I remember it just like it was yesterday. But that ball was thrown so pretty to Terrell Owens. If he catches that, he's on the Seattle Seahawks at least for the 2012 season.
Right.
Russell Wilson had that job stolen from Matt Flynn ever since then. And they gave Matt Flynn a nice little payday coming from the Detroit Lions because he had, not the Detroit Lions, but Green Bay Packers, because he had a pretty good year there backing up Aaron Rodgers or whatnot when he had to fill in for Aaron Rodgers. But it could be a situation, and I was looking at that today, it could be an interesting situation for Desmond Ridder. He may be caught between a rock and a hard spot. And what I mean by that is, if he's going to have an opportunity to win that job, he needs to win that job right now. Because there's a situation that could come up next year with the cap that we're about to get, that they could go after one of these guys. Say if it don't work out with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and they decide to trade him, they've already made it open. They are willing to go after one of these top quarterbacks if they should hit the market. Kyler Murray, who's having issues that he's not happy right now with Arizona Cardinals at this moment. Right? So Desmond Ridder is caught in a hard spot where I think if he's going to get the opportunity to win that spot, it's now.
Yeah, he's going to have to ball out. Like he's going to have to, in my opinion, leave them no doubt, to go ahead and start him. And let's be honest, man, if he can do that, if he can seal up that starting position, and then with the harder schedule that we have, show good progression through the season, and put that doubt to mind that, like, okay, look, he can be the guy, then maybe you go into next offseason like in grabbing like a Will Anderson if you're still up in the top 10 or what have you, and getting a transformative defensive player,
right?
A player that can come in and just absolutely transform this defense, which would be an interesting predicament to be in.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's gonna have a fight on his hands in a sense. I don't think Mariota's just gonna come in and lay down by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
Like Mariota has to see this as like his almost like his last shot to regain like his pedigree that he had coming into the league. Yeah.
And I think it is. I think this is to me a last shot for Mariota to prove that this is why he was the second overall pick behind Jameis Winston. I mean, it's a nice story that him and Jameis Winston are both in the same division and possibly will be facing each other twice in 2022. And that's if Desmond Ridder doesn't somehow do a pull of Russell Wilson and take the job, because I'm sure he knows too that his chances probably is right now to get it if he's going to get it. Because unless one of those quarterbacks, like we just mentioned, it's possible too, don't hit the market for whatever reason, if they can't work out a deal with they respective teams, he may miss his shot.
Right.
Because if they go out to one of those guys, they definitely will be able to afford him. Then that makes him just a third round backup. But I'm sure that's not what he envisions coming into the NFL.
No, it's definitely not what he envisioned. You could tell by his his comments, whether you think they're genuine or not. Telling Terry Fontenot that they done effed up by not. I mean, he ain't the first draft player to make that kind of statement and then go on to do nothing. But I mean, we saw something similar with one Tack McKinley, and he was taken in the first round. So and also Josh Rosen, who was on.
Exactly.
He said the same thing. Oh, make everybody regret. No, you don't. No, you're not. You obviously did. So But I think what you're going to get nowadays or now, like, you're going to see more of a true vision of what Arthur Smith wants this, and not just Arthur Smith. We all get hung up on Arthur Smith and his days in Tennessee, and you rightfully so constantly bring it back up, which is great to keep it in mind that we have a heavily influence from the Kansas City Andy Reid tree here in Atlanta as well, that people need to keep in mind with Dave Ragone and Charles London and Michael Petrie. And I say all that because even if those guys didn't, because I'm not sure, I don't think Dave Ragone actually worked under Andy Reid, but Dave Ragone worked under Nagy, who learned under Reid. Same thing with London.
Yeah.
So, these guys are heavily influenced by that style as well. So it's not just the Tennessee run Derrick Henry into the ground style. I think that style was developed mainly because of the roster that you had. You had Derrick Henry, so use him.
Yeah.
You don't have Derrick Henry here, so I think you're going to see a lot more leaning on running quarterback with the RPO type game, the read option type stuff, and I just don't think you're going to see quarterback power. Neither one of our quarterbacks are big enough for that. They're not a Josh Allen, or a Cam Newton, but you could see that outside zone scheme working well with a more mobile quarterback.
Right. And I think, like I said before, one thing we do know for sure is one of these quarterbacks are going to be a solid backup for whomever wins the job.
Oh, yeah.
It's Marcus's job to lose. They put that out there that he is the guy you're going to have to beat. So if Desmond Ridder wants it, he's going to have to really come with it. Now, I think he can. For the first time in my mind, I really feel like the second stringers are going to be better this year. And if that is the case, especially the ones that are projected to be up in front of Desmond Ridder when he gets his shot to play in these preseason games, which we found out today that Arthur Smith said that was the wrong call not to play those guys last year, and he would definitely not be doing that this year. Everybody will play that can play. Desmond Ridder has an opportunity to take that spot if he can outshine everybody else on the field with the guys that he's going to have not only in front of him, but the wide receivers, as well as running the system and the scheme better than Marcus Mariota. He's going to have to be able to run it flawlessly.
Oh, yeah.
If he wants to win the job.
Yeah, he's going to have to play better. He's going to have to, make less mistakes, show that grit, that athleticism, show because there's no lie, no doubt. The inconsistencies on tape are there with Ridder.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he was taken in the third. The only team that took one in the first was Pitt, but that's because they had a pretty solid team all the way around, and they felt strongly about Kenny Pickett, the guy who is in their building throughout his whole college career. So if you don't think that they had some inside, information, so to speak, you're fooling yourself there. But outside of him, nobody else was taken in the first. So, you know, these guys all have flaws to their game. So it's going to be company like for Ritter. It's can you make improvements? Can you limit those inconsistencies that have shown up on tape? I mean, you took a Cincinnati team that I think the year before you got there, it only had 4 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And you took them to, like, I think he only lost like 6 games while he was there.
Yeah, I think he had ended up with 44 total wins.
Yeah, 44 or 46
throughout his career.
Like
That's a lot. Yes. That's a lot.
So it's not like he's a slouch in that aspect. I know everybody, especially you know, is going to just remember the Alabama game, just like everybody only remembered the Georgia game with Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
But he's no slouch, and so but now it's time to see if he can take that next step, if he can progress, and if he can, man. Yeah. Dude, that's going to be a boon for us. Be able to get our starting quarterback in the 3rd round. Yeah, that would be
best case scenario is that he wins the job.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why is because the Falcons would know their future is right now with the quarterback. That will be solved, right?
Done.
That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that he don't win the job. Mariota wins it, and Mariota keeps it.
Right.
And he don't have a chance to start at all at any point during the season unless Mariota, we know he got a spotty injury history.
Right.
And, you know, hey, Ritter could still end up landing a starting job. And if he gets a starting job, not relinquishing it once he gets it, like Tom Brady did with Drew Bledsoe went down. Right. And he held the job from that point on and never relinquished the job to Drew Bledsoe to get it again in New England. So we'll see how it goes. It's definitely going to be one to watch, JR, but he's going to have to start this week.
Oh, yeah. It starts now for him. It starts now. It definitely starts now for him. Well, I think that's our opening salvo. Let's jump into chat and see where everybody's at, and then we'll move on to some of the other things we can't wait to see as far as rookie camp starting up. Right off the rip, Bubba Gump says, what up? What's going on, Bubba Gump? Like I said, Archangel is in here. Please shoot me that email. Joseph Thornton says, what's up, P for P? Same thing with King 7, P for P family. What's going on? Guys, it's good to see you. Yeah, this is our first live since the draft, since our Draft-a-Palooza. But hey, man, y'all have been awesome about the support that we've gotten on these couple videos that we put out about our draft, some of our draft picks. So we appreciate that a lot. Chris James says, good evening, P for P. What's going on, Chris? Philip Bonner says, how's it going, y'all? I've been waiting for you, gentlemen. Let's talk about it. I'm so excited for your squad's development. Yes, it is very good. Dexter Vallish gives us one of these. Thank you, Dexter. Bradley Burnett says, hi, guys. Same thing with Tony Wright. Moon Carter says, rise up, pound for pound family. He said, had no idea it would be a live stream tonight. Yeah, we're back on our live stream schedule. So this one, have one this week, not one next week, and then we'll be back to our every other week. All right. Anyway, Chris James says the one thing that needs to stop are those 2023 mock drafts. Yeah, them people are crazy with that stuff over here putting out mock drafts and for 2023. That's nuts. Ira Howell says, what it do, fellas? What it do, Ira? He says, I think our Atlanta Falcons may be sneaky competitive this year. That's part of what I want to see going forward. You're already seeing the coach acknowledging a mistake that he had last season and fixing that mistake. So holding, the players like himself accountable. And that's something I like to see. So I want to see a more competitive team this year. King says, I think we will find out a lot in rookies and official training camp with everyone. If our defensive guys that we drafted kill our own line, we're good for the season. If they don't, oh boy. Yeah, no doubt. Joseph says, mark my words, Ritter is going to be the guy. Remember this day. Dude, that's best case scenario. Straight up and down.
Yeah,
no lie.
That's the best case scenario.
We could put that to bed and, move on and keep building the defense or what have you. Nick says, no such thing as an easy or hard schedule. It's how you play your competition. I kind of agree there. Like, we look at it and say it's hard, or we look at it and say it's easier. You have to show up and play the games. So, yeah, I agree there. Willie Doc says, hey, fellas, what it be, man? It's just, we be talking about the Falcons. That's what it be.
What it do?
That's right. SDN Electrical says, but even Dak sat behind Romo. He didn't sit behind Romo. Romo got hurt in that training camp. Like, that was what ended Romo's career, basically, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because he got drafted in the 4th round, and nobody was expecting much out of him. And then Romo got hurt, and it was like, well, here we go, Chris says,
if I'm not mistaken, I think it was that Romo got hurt. That's why he couldn't start the season.
Exactly.
And he never relinquished the job. So,
Chris James says Mariota is NFL Comeback Player of the Year and getting that bag. That's also not a bad thing to have happen. If we could come out of this season secured again in the quarterback spot and not having to go into the QB carousel, I'll consider that a win, regardless of the amount of wins we get.
Right.
Dexter Valley says, I was legit thinking the same thing about Ritter. Say if we happen to stink it up, they'll be pressed to take a QB high. That's kind of the thing, if I hope we get enough of a sample size of Ritter to make a realistic decision on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Lamar, a Murray, or drafting a QB high. That's kind of where I'm at there. I want to see. What I don't want to have happen is, like, in a sense, the Jalen Hurts thing. Where Jalen Hurts started all last season, but even at the end of the season, you were still like, I don't know if this is really the guy. Everybody was like, oh, maybe they'll take a quarterback, but they didn't. They're giving the same thing with the Tua deal down in Miami. You haven't really seen enough of Tua because of injuries to determine if you think he's the guy or not. So what I want by the end of this season is a clear cut, is he the guy or not? Or is Mariota the guy or not?
I'm just going to be honest with you. I know you're reading in the chat, but it's always going to be back in the back of my head, and I'm sure I'm not the only fan. Mariota lost his job.
Yep. And
he happened to lose his job to the same coach that's now the head coach over here.
Yep.
That's always playing in the back of my mind. Now, like I said, he is the guy. It's his job to lose. I believe that Ritter. I'm being very honest here. You know how I was about Ritter.
Right.
I did not want to draft him in the first round. So for me to come out my mouth saying this, I believe Ritter could absolutely win that job over Marcus.
Yep.
Okay, it's very possible that if he comes in here and when you look at what they're putting around him to help him win it, they're not going to say it, but they're putting some pieces in front of him that could help him seal that deal if he's able to show out in these preseason games that he'll have.
One of the throws that Ritter has shown confidence with and consistency with is the back shoulder throws.
Mm-hmm.
And now you went out and drafted Drake London in the first round.
Yep.
Paired with Kyle Pitts, Auden Tate.
Yep.
Like, well, yeah. What do you think they're going to do?
Yep.
I'm going to throw it up, let you go get it. I'm going to throw it up behind her where only my 6'4" plus receiver can go grab it. And they're going – I mean, you saw them working on it last year with those pullback catches.
Right.
Like, you saw them, like, trying to encourage the receivers to do that.
Right.
But our receivers were too small, basically, to really consistent.
Mm-hmm.
The only one who had any real size to him was Cordell Patterson.
Right.
He was the only one that could really body somebody into getting that ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right. They're setting up, Ritter and Mariota they're setting them up for
they're setting both guys.
They're setting them up for some success. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so back into chat. Let's see. Bubba Gump's telling me to stop giving up on a pick, a third-round pick after 1 year. Oh, I'm talking about Mayfield. I ain't giving up on Mayfield. The only thing that worries me about Mayfield is like we saw like no improvement.
His job is on the line.
That's the only part. That's the
it.
only part that really bothered me about Mayfield.
Yeah.
From week 1 to week 17, we saw no improvement. Like if I could see any improvement. I mean, I don't live and die by PFF, but PFF had him ranked the worst guard they had ever graded. Yeah. Not ever graded last year. I'm talking ever graded. That says a lot. Anyway, not going to get into it. Anyway, Austin Douglas says, do you guys think Richie Grant and Hawkins will be our starting safeties? I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they brought back Eric Harris for an insurance policy. And same thing with Marlowe, I think was the guy's name. Marlone or Marlowe, the guy out of Detroit. I think those guys are insurance policies. I think they are banking on Hawkins and Grant being your safety tandem back there.
Yeah. Well, Arthur Smith did reiterate today that Richie Grant will be able to perform at his rightful position as safety. He was thrust into that nickel role due to necessity. Like Isaiah Oliver went down, but now you got other options like Darren Hall,
who was coming on well.
Avery Williams,
Darren Hall was coming on well at the end of last year. And you also, I think you went out and signed every nickel corner available.
Yeah, you did.
So
Tease Tapar, I think you went and got him from Chicago.
It was like last year when we were signing every possible tight end who was available for $1 million. I wish I could have played tight end last year. Anyway, I definitely can't play corners, so I'm not even going to try that. But I think this year, they're signing every nickel corner they can get their hands on because they don't want to. They want Richie to go back to safety. Well, that's what they drafted him to do. So, let's see. King says, I think Marcus will start because he has the edge over Ritter by knowing what Smith wants and also playing his type of offense. And that's possible, as far as having a leg up. But we're going to see. I think he starts camp, obviously, as QB1. Like, I think there's no doubt there. I don't think there's anything Ritter can do in rookie camp to surpass Mariota without him being there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think it's going to be Mariota's job to lose, more or less. Let's see. Go Braves. Apparently, Anonymous is over here. Go Braves. I guess the Braves are playing.
They're playing.
Or maybe he's talking about my hat. I got my championship hat on tonight. So.
Hey, Doc.
Let's see. Archangel. Who's calling me? Hold on 1 second. People are rude. They don't know I'm doing a show right now. Anyway. Our good buddy Charleston Nash says, is Ritter's ceiling similar to Dak path? And what is the ceiling for Mariota if he's able to resurrect his career in Atlanta? All right, let's do the second part of the question first. Mariota's ceiling is still the number 2 overall pick in his draft class.
Yeah.
Like, that's Mariota's ceiling. Like, you had every reason to think, Mariota was going to be a better than solid quarterback.
Yeah.
So if he can stay healthy, which is a big thing for him right now, is if he can stay healthy and show that he has, made strides. I mean, when he, took over for Derek Carr last year and played against the Chargers, like, he looked good.
Yeah.
Now, but can he do that for the rest of his career?
Exactly.
Like, there for a stretch, I mean, Nick Foles has a Super Bowl MVP. Like, he played out of his mind for a 6 or 7 stretch of games.
Mm-hmm.
But then got beat out by Gardner Minshew, who I can't even tell you where he is right now. So, that's what I'm saying. Is like, how long can he actually do it for?
Yeah.
But his ceiling is the number 2 overall pick. That's his ceiling. For whatever that's worth to you.
Yeah.
But Jameis Winston has those same questions to answer as well down in New Orleans, and he's getting paid a lot more money to answer them.
Yeah.
Than what Mariota's getting paid. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, to your first question, Ritter's ceiling is Ritter's ceiling similar to a Dak Prescott? I think so. Maybe. I mean, Dak is a little more like bulkier, I guess. So the running might be a little different, but I think he could have a similar career path to a Dak Prescott. I think that is. Now, right now, Dak Prescott is, if not in the top 10, a fringe top 10 quarterback. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like if Mariota finally gets there or if it's, closer to an Andy Dalton type career path. But I think his ceiling would definitely be a, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott kind of arc. What do you think?
Like I said, man, in the back of my mind, Marcus, yeah, he's the second overall pick, formerly in 2015. He's going to have to prove that now. Like I said before, where it could benefit Marcus is the schemes are different than what he ran in Tennessee. Now, I know a lot of people hanging their hat on what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee, but what Arthur Smith is doing now is a lot of what Chicago did with Dave Ragone. And I keep saying this, and I'll continue to say this, even if you look at the personnel now. This is why I say the offense is set to fly now, because they now have the offensive pieces to do some of the things that they did when Matt Nagy was over there and Dave Ragone was with the Chicago Bears as far as the schemes go, which makes it a fit for Mariota with the RPOs.
Right.
So they're going to have to cater these RPOs and zone reads. This will help Mariota have the success that I believe he can have. Now, if he doesn't look good doing that on a consistent basis and Ritter is able to beat him out, then we could be looking at Mariota being a backup to Desmond Ritter. And that's how I'm looking at that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is there's part of me that says there's two statements, okay? Or one thing and a statement about Mariota. The one thing is it seemed like regardless of what ended up happening with Ryan, it seemed like that they were already in works of trying to get Mariota here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me that says a lot about how Smith views Mariota.
Yeah.
And then there's a statement when Mariota signed with the Falcons when he was out there in Hawaii, and he made the statement that Arthur Smith always had his back.
Yeah.
And so it leads me to believe that maybe the benching of Mariota wasn't necessarily Smith's idea.
Yeah.
Like maybe it came from Vrabel or the GM who had traded for Tannehill or what have you. Obviously, Mariota's play didn't stop it from happening.
Right.
That's kind of like when we talk about you can't leave the game in the ref's hands type deal. Like you have to control what you can control. And obviously Mariota's play didn't keep Tannehill on the bench.
Right.
But it may not have necessarily come from Arthur Smith himself. And so that may lead to actually being able to, run more of what he felt like Mariota could run. And you also got to think, just like, Alex Smith back in the days, Mariota had like 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators.
Yep, he
and
did.
Head coaches and all that jazz. So in those situations, it's hard to get a real actual eval on him.
Yeah.
But now he's going to a situation where the guy knows him. Like Smith knows Mariota.
Right.
So, this is his best chance to resurrect his career, flat out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's keep going. Millie Mills says, I'm actually anxious to see Marcus Mariota in action this year before Ritter takes over. I am really interested to see them both, honestly. Archangel says, you just never know the team that you play will turn out. True. Anonymous says, honestly, I would be glad we can at least get a solid backup out of Ritter. Oh, if we get a solid backup.
Mm-hmm.
If he can be that, that would be great. Exactly. To me, that's his floor. To me, his floor is a solid, don't have to worry about a backup for the next 10 years. Kind of deal.
Right.
And I ain't mad at that. Straight up. Or
Mm-hmm.
if nothing else, he might be a trade piece. Like if you say you do next year, you go out and you have the chance to get a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray or a whoever you could trade for. I don't know, if for whatever reason San Francisco doesn't want Trey Lance, and you just maybe you can trade with them or something. So
Yeah.
if nothing else, he could either be a trade piece or what have you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ira says, I have a feeling that we are going to pick up a new wide receiver in a few weeks. I actually think in a few weeks you're going to see a pass rusher added. But we'll get to that here in just a minute. Let's see. Millie Mills says, I just feel iffy about Drake London. I just don't know about him. I don't know how to assuage your fears other than to say do what you can to go watch him in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Like the versatility that he has, like he fits what this staff wants out of a wide receiver one.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He may not be like we're so used to seeing, Julio Jones.
Exactly.
And I hate to tell y'all this, folks.
Flashy.
That man was created in a lab.
Yeah, he was.
Like size, speed combo was insane.
Yeah.
Like Drake ain't got the speed, but he's got the size.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying he's going to be Julio Jones, but I think he's going to be a lot better than some folks are giving him credit for.
Yeah.
Rexton, Whoa Freshish. I think I said that right. He says, if you had to guarantee a starter between Hennessy, Dahlman, or Mayfield at their respective positions, who would be your best bet as to who can end up being a starter for this season into next? So that's something we talked about pre-show a little bit.
Yeah.
The battle between Hennessy and Dahlman, I think, is going to be very interesting because they haven't brought any competition in outside of those two guys.
Nope.
So they must feel like they got something in one of those two guys. So it really comes down to Mayfield at this point. And whether you think Justin Schaefer, the 6th round pick out of Georgia, can actually push him, or Elijah Wilkerson. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Is it? It's okay.
Yep. That's right.
I think earlier I was calling him Eric Wilkerson, and that's definitely not right.
Yeah.
So it's
Elijah's
okay.
right.
Elijah Wilkerson. Like, I think the battle is going to come down between Elijah Wilkerson and Mayfield, and then I think the right tackle spot is Jermaine Ifedi and McGarry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are the battles that I'm watching. What about you?
I got Hennessy winning the job. I think Hennessy will edge Dahlman out. Now, where it gets interesting for Dahlman is because he played at center and guard for us last year in live games. He was at center and he was at left guard when he took over some for Jalen Mayfield, especially in that first game. When they got down there in the red zone, he played a few snaps down there. He looked pretty good, but center, he was kind of spotty his first year out. I think Hennessy will win it. I think Jalen's losing his job. And to me, it's between two guys, Dahlman or Schaefer, the rookie, that will get it. I just don't see Jalen Mayfield. And it sounds like even though they drafted Jalen right tackle, I don't think Jalen has a home there anymore. It sounds like he will stay at left guard, and that'll be where he has to prove that he can be the best left guard that he can be to win the job. But I just don't know if Jalen Mayfield is going to win that job. I just don't.
I think they had bad intel on Mayfield.
Yeah.
I don't know who was pounding the table for him. I don't know if that's just how the board shook out, apparently.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be like a black mark on Terry's drafting record. Unless Mayfield just comes in and proves everybody wrong.
And if he does,
awesome.
I'll be happy to eat all the crow that you give me. I think I know a restaurant that sells
Yeah,
crow,
well,
so I may end up going there and
I
eat
may have
some.
to. I
See
mean,
what
I
it
need to
tastes
go
like.
there and eat some from Cordell Patterson last year. So I'll gladly admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I do believe McGarrett's gonna lose his job.
I think yeah.
Now he'll have a chance to get better. We got some speed rushers now that he struggles with. He'll have a chance to practice against in the Ebiketie and Malone. But other than that, if he don't get that right, I think Jermaine Ifedi is going to end up with that right tackle.
Yeah, I think Ifedi ends up with that right tackle job, honestly. Even though we're already seeing the bulked up pictures of McGarry looking like it's so funny. I almost get the feeling like we're trying to run an outside zone scheme with power guys. And like it's just I don't know. I'm gonna do like I got an interesting thought there, so I'm gonna do a video on that here as the summer wears on. I want to try to do some more information before then. But anyway, it's just interesting how we're drafting power guys, but then drafting outside zone running backs and playing outside zone. So it's just yeah. All right, back into the chat as we'd like to go back up to where I was at. Man, y'all are doing good tonight. We were kind of actually worried that because there wasn't a ton going on that y'all might not show out, but y'all are definitely showing out. We appreciate it. Millie Mills told me that Minshew is in Philly. Okay, all right, that's where he ended up. I was thinking Detroit for some reason. I was like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Mark Turner says if he can get protection, I'm assuming he's talking about Mariota. Smart Rice says Mariota has never thrown for 5,000 yards in one season. Let's compare to Jameis and Mariota. Yeah, but I don't think Mariota's thrown 30 picks either. But I will say this. That's not the kind of offense that Smith wants to run. The days of 4,000 and 5,000 yard, throwing yardage quarterbacks, I think, or if you couldn't do it with Ryan last year in a sense, even with the bad, because Ryan when he lost Roddy and Julio and only had Harry Douglas to throw to, he still threw for over 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
So last year was the first year he didn't. So obviously you're trying.
Yeah, the way
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No,
I was just saying, so the chances of that, I just don't see that being what they're trying to do. I think you're looking at 3,000, 3,500 yards and probably 700-800 yards rushing.
Well, and if not even that, between 400 and 700 yard rushing and maybe 5 touchdowns. I think that balances out and equals up to your 4,000 plus yards. Yeah.
I think you're looking at more like 4,000 all-purpose yards, not 4,000 throwing yards. Because I think from here on out, we're going to have a QB that can get it on the ground as well.
Right.
Let's see. Xavier says, I'm with you fellas on this one. I also think he's a solid backup at worst as well, and he has the tools to be good. I agree. Austin Douglas says Ritter would be the best backup in the league, mainly because of how Mariota and Ritter are similar, and we wouldn't have to change the game plan. I think that was also part of it.
It was.
It doesn't seem like much of our fans would be down with the idea of Murray or Jackson. Mark Turner says he would hate it if we got Murray or Jackson. I will say this, and some people, I'm old school in this aspect. I'm not a big fan of Murray's attitude. And I know that's, if he's winning games, whatever, but he just seems like a little more diva than I want on my team, but that's just me. I ain't going to poo-poo it, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rex says, who has that dog between them? I think he's talking about the O-lineman. I think Dahlman's got a nasty demeanor. McGarry's got a nasty demeanor. He just doesn't, it just doesn't translate to his play.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Drake, King says Drake is the beast. The only thing with him is that he's all bully, but not as much finesse. And that can wear him out early because he looks for contact, and that might be bad dealing with NFL guys. Well, he'll learn in that aspect. But at least it's the stark difference between him and Ridley, where Ridley was going backwards, trying to avoid contact. Mark Turner says, "Do we think Afedi will start at right guard?" I think there's a real good chance.
Oh, at right tackle.
Yeah, right tackle. Excuse me.
Yeah. You want it?
Let's see. Keep it rolling. McGarry's too. So I guess. Oh, somebody was asking if McGarry to play left guard. I don't think he'd work out too well at left guard. Coach Bigelow Sports, what's going on, Big Country? He says, "What's going on, fam? I'm listening to y'all while I'm cutting my grass. We'll keep it straight. Let's get that nice diamond pattern going on, Bigelow. I want it looking like a baseball field out there, sir."
Oh, snap. Yeah, man.
Tack McKinley. That's so funny. Every time I see him in here, Tack McKinley. Who is running back 1? Ooh, that's interesting. I'm giving it to Algieri myself.
Okay.
Because to me, Damian Williams is not a lead back. He hasn't been a lead back anywhere he's been. He's been your change of pace. He's been your, third down back, catching the ball out of the backfield, kind of deal. And I think that's what he's going to be for us.
Okay.
I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be our RB2. So, do you consider Cordell Patterson RB1? Because I consider Cordell Patterson to be in a place by himself at OW, at offensive weapon.
Yeah.
That's kind of what so to me, your true RB1, I think, is going to come down to Olesen or Algier. Okay. And I think it's going to be Algier myself. Okay. What do you think?
I'm going Damian Williams early. I hear what you're saying, but we also got to take into account every team he's been on, it was already a crowded running back room.
Right.
So he never really had the opportunity to prove that he could be a lead back. And I think one of the things that attracted him to coming here to Atlanta and signing a one-year deal with us is because he will have the opportunity to show that he can be a lead back in this league. Algier, I think, has a chance to win it. But right now, I'm putting him as my running back 2, and I'm putting Cordell Patterson as my 3.
Okay.
I know you love Olesen.
Yeah, I do. You're right. I do.
He's had so many opportunities to snag a spot.
You're not wrong.
You see what I'm saying?
You're not wrong there, Toby. I probably have more of a bias towards him than I should, because he was the first back in I don't know how many years since Michael Turner that finally had some size to him.
Yeah, and I agree.
And I was so excited to see, and the few times that he's been on the field, he's performed well outside of some fumble issues.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. I probably have rose-colored glasses when it comes to Olesen.
But they're giving him a shot. They continue to give him a shot. They believe he has something, so they're giving him a shot. I just don't know if it's going to be a big enough impact to land him a role on this offense. But we'll see. Right now, my money's on Damian Williams to be the lead, Algier to be number 2. And one thing is for sure, they are not going to overuse Cordell Patterson. Arthur Smith has made that clear on radio today, that they used him last year out of necessity because they didn't have anyone else that can really step up to the plate. I mean, man, shout out to Mike Davis. He got him another job with the Ravens, and we're going to have to see him. And I know he's going to want to run all over us when we do see him. But, hey, it's all good, But I'm happy for him. He's landed with the Ravens now. But he just wasn't that guy to take some of the pressure off of Cordell Patterson, and we ran him in the ground, let's be honest.
Right.
He wore down as the season went on because we had to use him so much. But this year, we should be good at not having to use him as much as we did last year.
Right. Not only do you add in the more mobile, quarterback who's able to stress the defense that way. I know that's going to be – y'all are probably going to get tired of hearing the phrase mobile quarterback, but that's something that we haven't had here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it brings a dimension that Falcons fans aren't used to seeing.
Yeah, and we have 1, 2, 3.
Right. Right.
In the QB room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's gonna be like I said, it's gonna be an interesting dimension that is added. Somebody brought up, it was Tony Wright, says undrafted rookie free agent offensive tackle Tyler Vrabel out of
that's my guy.
Boston College may also compete for that right tackle position. So is that where he plays at? Is he a right tackle guy?
He was left tackle, if I'm not mistaken, at Boston.
Right.
But he can play both spots because he played both spots. He started at both spots at Boston, at right and left. And that's the reason why I see him as competing with Elijah Wilkerson as my swing tackle. I think those guys will be in competition for that swing tackle spot. But he could also challenge for that left guard spot because he's that flexible at being able to do other positions. He's a guy that's definitely going to help your run game improve if he wins the job anywhere.
Right.
If he becomes one of the 6 offensive linemen, when we do our 6 offensive lineman packages, I think we will be seeing more of that this year, where you have 6 offensive linemen on the field. So he could definitely win a job, but I see it between him and Elijah Wilkerson for that swing tackle job.
Yeah, he's I don't know much about Vrabel, but I do find it interesting that we're over here, that he didn't go play for his daddy up in Tennessee. That's kind of so. I think it was Taylor Lewan talking about Arthur Smith trying to be like Tennessee or whatever, and getting Vrabel. Anyway, Tony Wright agrees with you, Toby. He says, "I agree, Toby. I like running back Damian Williams, who can also catch the ball out of the backfield." But don't forget about, Tyler Algier is something special. I think Algier has got a mental makeup that they really like.
Most definitely.
It'll be interesting to see how he does. And then Rexton says, let's not forget Caleb Huntley as well. He could easily come in and compete with RB2. Yeah, he was one of the only backs that actually looked decent in the preseason last year, and I was actually surprised that he didn't really get. Did he get hurt or something? I was trying to remember why he didn't get called up.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why he didn't get called up. But like I said, Olsen, look, there is some love for Olsen, just like you have love for him. It's apparent because he keeps getting back on the team, man. After they cut him, bring him back, cut him, bring him back.
Hold on. I gotta pull it up because it is let's see, hold on. My brain is locking up on how to spell his name. But okay, let's see. Where do I want? It's right here. I want to get. Oh, there it is. Okay. Dude is 6'1", 232 pounds. I didn't want to misquote that. That's why I looked it up. He's only an inch or two shorter than Derrick Henry. I know why they're bringing him back. His body style and his running is the closest thing that we have to Derrick Henry. He's not Derrick Henry, obviously, but he is the closest thing that we have to Derrick Henry, as far as just that bigger back. Now Algier is 220 or 225, and but he's 5'11", which is a few inches shorter. But I'm really going to be interested to see how this running back room works out. I hated it that he got cut, but I'm actually glad to see that they made the decision, about letting Mike Davis go, because there was just too much dancing in the backfield. There was just too much indecision, and I don't know if that was because of the bad O-line, and that could be the case. But when you had Patterson running the ball, even if he didn't get no yardage, he was running hard. Same thing with Olsen. So ultimately, I think that's what caused Davis to get released. Antoine Wartime TV is asking. I'm pretty sure we'll get this question from every now and again. Where's Mike and Jimmy? Both of them have had to step away for just life. As we have said to y'all many times before, we do this because We are fans first, and we are passionate about this team. We're passionate about talking with y'all. But sometimes life happens. So we wish those guys absolutely the best. You can catch Mike on Twitter every now and again. I know Jimmy has stepped away from a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so yeah, they just had to step away for personal reasons. Nothing bad. We wish them all the best.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Mark Turner says Vrabel heard he has short arms. I'm not sure what. Does Vrabel have short arms? I'm not sure.
I'm about to go back and look at the measurements.
Yeah. Keith Spencer says you put pieces around a player to get him to act like you won't. That must be to a comment to something else, or at least I'm just missing the connection there. Let's see. Tony Wright says, I think also too at Bubba Gump, Brad Hawkins is a strong safety and a fierce tackler.
Mm-hmm.
We need him to make the team for depth. Yeah, he's the kid out of Michigan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he seems like he'd be a real good special teams and depth piece.
Yeah.
Let's see. Arthur, okay, Rexton says Arthur's backs either have to flow to the open space or create it with the blocking scheme. That's the deal. It's like you got to have that vision. Like it's it's condensed formations that, like, you know, the best I can tell, the way I can describe it is like he wants, Arthur Smith wants his opposing defense to have to run through mud and to get to either the receiver or to get through to the back. So he condenses his formations to bring everybody tight and then starts running things wide in hopes of, getting his players to catch green grass.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I just find it interesting that he chooses to try to do that with like more power guys or guys who seem to be power guys. Now, Jake Matthews is not a power guy. Hennessy and Dahlman are on the lighter side and can move. I think Dahlman's stronger than Hennessy in my opinion. But, I guess what it gets down to is the Jordan Schaefer pick is the one that confuses me. Like, he doesn't seem to move well in space. And that seems contrary between him and Mayfield. Those seem to be oddball offensive lineman picks to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because he has that nasty. I mean, that's the one thing that you see. And he can get downfield pretty good. He's a little inconsistent when it comes to his getting on his blocks, and he struggles with his combo block more than anything. That is one of the concerns for me that he'll have to work on if he wants to start a job, because you're gonna have to be a good combo blocker if you want to be on this offensive line. And so he's got to get that down. But I think he can win the job because he already possesses some of the natural traits that Dwayne Ledbetter loves and covets. So that's why I think he's lean already too. Like when you look at him, like he's a lean guy already. And if one more year in the NFL where he's actually full time in it, oh, Doc, he can be a mess to deal with.
Josh Gillum, our good buddy Josh, says Arthur Smith said he likes Schaefer's 40 time. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, Schaefer is just a guy who I haven't necessarily got into yet. Speaking of that, while we got a good crowd in here, I want y'all to put your answers in the chat there. We've already looked at Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone. You looked at Drake London, like as far as scheme fit goes. Who would y'all like to see next? Would you like to see a video dedicated on Desmond Ridder, or a video dedicated to like the scheme fit of Troy Anderson, who we haven't really even talked about tonight?
Right.
So that's the two on deck, is either Ridder or Troy Anderson, because we've already done Drake London and we've already done AK-47 and which I love that, by the way.
Malone.
AK-47. I absolutely think that's great. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I want to throw out to the chat. It looks like everybody's It looks like it's a pretty good mix between Anderson and Ritter. But anyway, let's talk about Troy Anderson for a minute. And I want to talk about Troy Anderson mainly in how it affects Debo. And what I mean by Debo is Deion Jones. Because in every chance that they've had to talk about the linebacker room this offseason, they have not talked about Deion Jones at all.
Nope.
So kind of like when the nameplate was gone off the Ridley locker, I kind of wonder if they already got plans to move on from Jones. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, that's interesting, man. I mean, they brought in Nick Kwiatkowski, formerly of the Raiders and the Bears, if I'm not mistaken, in for a visit. He's got one more visit. He's already visited us and the Raiders, and he's got to visit with another team before I guess he makes this decision on where he wants to go. But if they can land him, I don't see Deion Jones being here, because all of those guys now, you have 4 guys that fit what Dean Pease would want for his size and speed and physicality and all of that. Deion he don't fit because he's missing the physicality.
Right. See, I think that's the bigger thing is he's missing the want to. Like, that's the part that, whether it was due to playing with an injury this year or whatever, but this year, PFF had him graded at a 35 for this season. Like, and you can even say, oh, well, he was playing on a bad team. All right, he was playing on a bad team the year before, and he was around his 10-point average swing. Like, normally he's around 70. The year before last, he was at a 63. He went from a 63 to a 37, which is crazy. That's a crazy bad drop-off. I know that there's people, especially on this, on this platform, that have done nothing but look at the box scores and say, oh, well, he had more tackles than he did last year, or he had 2 more sacks, or, whatever. Look, we all remember Keith Brooken at the tail end of his time here in Atlanta. He got dubbed the 6-yard sheriff. So you can't just point at the number of tackles and tell me that that's a good stat. Because a tackle 20 yards down the field counts the same as a tackle at the line of scrimmage. So Deion Jones doesn't fit this system because he doesn't want to fit a run gap. That he doesn't want to get up there and be physical. Like, that's that's the reason why he don't fit this system.
Yeah.
I mean,
and when you watch all those linebackers, you know what they have in common?
Physical.
They fight off blocks. They physical. They're gonna get to that running back or whoever's carrying the ball by any means necessary. You see it with all of Adamski posted a video today showing, Rashawn Evans and them, and Rashawn especially, how he was shedding blocks and getting to that ball carrier. Like, no, there was a relentless approach.
Right.
And that's what Dean Pease wants in his linebackers, that relentless approach. You're not always going to have that guy that's going to be able to keep blockers off of you so that you can shoot gaps. You're going to have to fight through the rubbish, sometimes to get to that ball carrier, man. You're just going to have to do it.
Yeah, dead up. And that's the thing is, like Deion, he seemed to work better, like, flowing sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
He was a good coverage linebacker. That's not necessarily what Pease asks his linebackers to do. Smart Rye says, Troy Anderson isn't ready, still learning the position, and Dean Pease's defense isn't easy to learn. I think the difficult part about Dean Pease's defense is the back end, not the front end. He asks his coverage guys to do a lot. He doesn't necessarily... Anyway, I'm not going to get into that here per se. But I'm not necessarily talking about starting Troy Anderson. I think your starting linebackers are going to be Rashad Evans and Michael Walker. Like, Walker's got that tenacity. And we already know Evans does, from his time up in Tennessee. So, if it does count, I think you'll end up using Troy Anderson as a spot start here or there, or when they do use a third linebacker, it's him coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially if they end up signing that Nick Kwasowski or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really feel like Debo's probably gone. I don't think they like necessarily how he play. Keith Spencer says Debo ain't going nowhere. I mean, I don't know.
And he might not. He might not. But yeah.
I just find it strange that anytime they've had a chance to talk about the linebacker room,
his name has not come
up once
at all.
Sometimes it's what's not said tells you more than what is said.
Mm-hmm.
See, Blizz says Debo gets stuck on blocks and gets carried 5 yards before bringing a guy down. He should sacrifice speed to be an all-around linebacker. I'll say this. If he was hurt last year and that's the reason why his play suffered, I hope he comes back and again proves everybody wrong.
Yeah, hey, I would love.
But there were plenty of times last year he had people squared up and gave a half-hearted effort on the tackle, and that's that's not going to endear you to any coach. Millie Mills says Anderson could also be an edge rusher insurance too. They got him listed as inside linebacker, and I think that they're just going to have him focus on linebacker.
Yeah. They say he can play all the positions at linebacker, and that's exactly where they plan on putting him at. Mike and Will. Right. He'll be able to play all the positions. Look, man, you got a lot of mobile QBs that you are about to face this year, probably more than I've seen and where NFL is going. Right. Troy Anderson is going to be a perfect spy because of his speed. Them guys probably think they're going to be faster than him.
No,
you forget.
Not that 4.2 speed, brother. He is.
Forget it. You go forget it.
Dwayne Bodie says, "What up, JR and Toby? Great show as always. Thank you, sir. What do y'all think of D. Alford from the CFL? I don't know a ton about him yet. Honestly, that's a futures guy. I hate to say it like this. I don't put a ton of stock into futures guys. I did hear some good things when we signed him. I know Damsky was pretty pumped about him, but I think he may have just been pumped because it was a CFL guy, But I haven't looked much into him. And he also asked, what is Caleb Huntley's chances of making the team? Better than they were last year's because he's got a year under his belt.
Yeah.
So, he could be a surprise in that sense. Big Tone says Debo doesn't fit the scheme, but Grady do. I'm pretty sure Grady had his worst year last year in the system. I've been on record saying Grady don't fit this scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches have made mention that Grady don't fit this scheme. But it's on the coaches to figure out how to get Grady in positions to succeed. Because Grady's too good of a talent and too good of a locker room glue guy to not try to figure out ways to get him to succeed.
And look, who gets paid the most money, pass rusher or the linebacker?
Pass rusher, baby.
There it is. That's why Grady's on the team. He's a pass rusher, and I give Chuck Smith credit for this. He said on 92.9 the game that pass rushers don't grow on trees. And you got to figure out how to use Grady to make him be successful in the NFL because he is a pass rusher who can dominate when he has help.
I think that was the biggest thing last year. Last year, Grady was consistently double and triple teamed.
He was.
Because they knew they didn't have to worry about nobody.
Mm-mm.
That's why I fully suspect them to add another guy to another pass rusher, veteran-wise, to the roster. I mean, you got JPP who's still out there, Carl Nassib who's still out there, Morgan Fox, Benson Mayoa, and even Justin Houston. So there's some veteran names that you can add to this list. To go along with Lorenzo Carter and Ebiketie and Malone and Ogundeji.
Yeah.
So I think that Grady is going to have a lot more help this year than he had last year. a lot more consistent help. So, yes, I agree, Big Tone, in a sense of no, he doesn't fit the scheme. But in the loss of, it sounds silly to say, but in the loss of Matt Ryan, you couldn't lose Matt Ryan and Grady Jarrett in the same offseason.
Right.
I think that would have been too detrimental.
Yeah.
So
that would be too much leadership gone.
Too much leadership gone.
Yeah.
Fred Butt says, Toby, do you think Arthur Smith will be more aggressive this season?
Yes. And it starts week 1. Whoever we're about to play, we'll find out who that is on Thursday night. But it sounds like Arthur is not going to be scared to let his BALLS flow. I know this is a family show.
We try to do as much as we can.
But it sounds like Arthur Smith is ready to fly in year 2, and he ain't going to be scared of nobody.
Well, and like he also has to realize that, like, the clock is starting to tick.
Yeah.
Like you had 4 bad years in a row. I know it's only one year for Smith, but for the franchise itself, like, especially after how this offseason started, trying to get Deshaun Watson, like, they understand where they're at.
Right.
They understand that they need to get a winning product on the field to start filling that house back up.
Yep.
Like, they get it. They completely and utterly get it, and they're trying to do what they can.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, this year, the main goal, I think, was to clear cap space. And they did that.
Right.
Like, we're carrying some heavy dead weight, but come the end of the season, we're going to have a bukus of money next year.
Which is why you can't cut Deion Jones.
No, you
just can't afford.
No, if you're going to do anything, you trade him.
Yeah.
And you know, like, there's been rumors floating around. Somebody said it earlier up in chat, but there's rumors floating around that, you know, he might get traded post June 1 to Dallas.
Yeah, he could. And there's a situation where I've seen this in the NFL where a player won't even play until they get traded.
Right.
They can ride Deion Jones on the roster until they find a suitable trade partner, and it could probably go into the season. Right. But they don't have to rush it now because the fact of the matter is they have enough cap space to do what they need to do. So they don't have to rush and just give them away for pennies if they don't want to.
Right. That's a thing that it is, like, the leverage is back with Atlanta in that sense.
Yeah.
You have your by extending Grady Jarrett, you now have your cap space needed to sign your draft picks and go get another veteran if you want it.
Yeah, if you want,
something,
and cover for injuries if you need to.
Something else to keep in mind, keep under your hat. I ain't saying it's gonna happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. Like, apparently the Jets may not be necessarily happy with Mekhi Becton. And who was Mekhi Becton's coach in college? Dwayne Ledford.
Hey.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you know, you could take a swing at trading, you know, Deion Jones from Mekhi Becton.
And you could. And he would be a perfect fit.
They run that same kind of you know, cover 3 shell up there with Slahy or Saleh.
Yeah, Saleh. Yeah, he would be a perfect fit up there if you can make that type of move and get him off your books. Right. And I mean, usually players that hear about or they're not in good standing with the team, they will probably reject playing.
Right.
Period. He may not even show up to anything.
Yeah, that's going to be something to monitor, his situation. Yeah. Like I said, the amount of, like, talk that has not been around his name.
They don't give any vote of confidence.
And that says a ton to me. The fact that they hadn't even mentioned Deion Jones. Anytime they bring up the linebackers, it's Rashawn Evans, it's Michael Walker, it's Troy Anderson. That's it. That's all they're talking about.
That's it.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But, man, we did it, Toby. It's up over an hour. Like, we've been talking an hour and 16 minutes about these Falcons on a week when they ain't done nothing. But we're going to see some stuff this year. Or not this year, this week. we got some rookie minicamp coming up on Friday, which will be real good. Keep your eye on the channel. I think I'll dive into Troy Anderson this week, and I'll try to have that out either Friday or Saturday to give y'all an idea of how he's going to fit, what he might bring to the table, and where he might end up playing. Probably won't get any clips because of that XO catapult has been on the warpath again, like headhunting. So I ain't trying to get our channel hit, with that kind of stuff. So you might just see some still images like I had with D'Angelo Malone and Ebiketie. One last, Chris gives us a thumbs up. Millie Mills says, imagine playing on defense and you see a LB in the slot or at running back. Oh, talking about Anderson. Heck, he may play QB sometimes. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that to him. I think it'd be better if he focuses on one position. But anyway, as always, folks, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby
D1991.
And Patreon if you want it, merch if you want it. Keep your eye on the channel and check out p4patl.com for any of our write-ups that we did for any of these guys. And yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Anthony
sir.
Ramos says, good to see you guys increasing the value in this channel. We try to do what we can, like to bring you what we think y'all want and to bring you the type of content that we like, But anyway, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.